to be in. And where we left off, you might be able to help me with this. The king is walking down to find the Buddha and to take Asita, the sage.
The Bodhisattva.
Asita, the Bodhisattva. Okay. Out of the mothering darkness a woman stared. A moment then, let fall the curtain, king and long-haired. Ascetic waited, suspended, knowing as men. The depth of a hidden female world, unshaken. The lamp's flame stood at center of the night, and they stood without speaking. Then in a bright bustle of laughter and shawls 3 women swept through the arch and knelt, she in the center kept. Close wrapped in her arms a child, swathed in raw silk, and where the fringe brushed the child's cheek, its milk, white cleanliness was stunned by the gold light of the boy's complexion, for to Asita's sight, the new skin blazed like fire. Before she could lay respectfully the child at his feet, he himself sway, as if fainting forward, but gripped his staff to kneel, abandoned at the child's feet, where he could feel the light of the mind break over him in waves, his heart torn loose by joy, like a man who saves himself barely by one hand that still keeps gripped to a raft, while an ocean current sweeps over him, through him, ebbing and still at length, to let him draw breath and gather in his strength. Raising his eyes, he looked as a child at a child, and the boy knew him and understood and smiled. Nonplussed in delight, Asita's heart was stilled on the verge of astonished laughter. The hall was filled, behind him with courtiers, servants, all who could come to witness some great and strange event, but the thrum of subdued voice and eager thought could not blemish the space of silence where old man and child paused face to face. The placid hands unfolding of the cloth ceased, and Asita broke his gaze, though loth, to take his eyes from those blue depths to look at the naked, shining child as a written book. To us were the body's marks to the sages of old, proportion, feature, and subtle aura told, their own story to those who had eyes to see, and Asita in trance contemplated a body of the perfect human archetype, complete from the light-crowned head to the wheeled-marked hands and feet, the 32 great and 80 lesser signs, focused to living utterance the lines of the ancient verses, breathing and expressed through harmony of head and limbs and breast, the tides of versatile energy within, the gentle radiance of the golden skin, signs of a world emperor or more, a freer of worlds, the melodious cries, the jaw, in a little like a little lion's made for uttering truth, soundly, sweetly, told that neither in youth nor in great age would this one turn away from his self-set task, not in an hour or a day would these marks fade. Then, like an oak, transfixed and shuddering, when the lightning struck, pierces it to the core in every vein, flooded with power, flourishes again, gold crackling leaves of energy and fire that lifts its head a moment, towering higher, to grapple earth and sky with crooked hands, uttering thunder while its body stands. Bridging the worlds, Asita rose full height and turned towards the king, his eyes alight with more than human joy. Tonight, O king, the world's great year wheels round to its new spring. Now human hands in woven cloth can hold a child whose touch will turn the age to gold, a prince whose empire will outspread the span of space and memory allowed to man, who in the battle of a single night will scatter greed and hate in headlong flight, yet scorning thrones and palaces will love an empty mountain or a forest grove, and seated the wild fig's knotted root, break in his mouth the three worlds' sweetest fruit, while serpent kings furled round the ancient tree sway gold-tiled hoods to make his canopy. Out of all farmers, this one shall be best, raising from one plowed furrow boundless harvest, where no seed sprouts, pilot of matchless craft, over the pitching seas shall steer a raft to carry myriads into safety far from the world's hunger and the heart's grim war. Sleepless steersman whose quiet eye will find a hidden star map for the clouded mind. Look at him well, your child is the new sun, by whose long light the coming age will run. Not all will hear, though he teach gods and men. The fevers of the world will rage again. Cities like this in gold will rise and set. War-driven fleets on hostile seacoasts fret. Blood clot, iron shriek, forests fall, envy kill. Delirious creatures hunt new wealth to spill. But while the faintest echo of his voice persists, there will remain a different choice. A hidden pathway which this prince shall teach, by which through the heart's stillness all may reach. Safety, coolness, clear light, a jeweled gate, a garden where the unspoiled virtues wait. Asita ceased, silence unbearable. Shining, filled with knowledge, held the hall, and each one understood until mere thought resumed and mind's simplicity was caught. In desire and doubt, the king, his face in a glow of achievement, turned to Asita, and slow, measuring his words in caution and respect, began, Master, if this child's future is decked with such weight of glory and power, if he is to reign over a world and an age, we must think how to train his heart, his mind, his body for the task that comes to his hand. For horse and bow we shall ask, and have the great masters of each from the ends of the earth, for law and noble conduct, one of his birth is already prepared, and the rest our court shall teach. But that which causes an emperor's arm to reach from ocean to ocean is something more than these. He must be wise, must cherish the ancient verses, know their four meanings, and root them into his heart, then go beyond them, having the skill to part truth from seeming, to measure depth and height in the thoughts of men and the ways of wrong and right, nurturing his empire as the farmer his field, knowing laws of ripeness and rawness, of when to yield, while time does its work, and when to strike with a shock that leaves time staggered, crushing the moment like rock, powdered under the chariot's wheel iron rim. To be such was not my fate, but it for him. These gifts are prepared. He must be rightly led to grasp and wield them. Years ago you departed. Master, when I came of age, your work complete, as it seemed, and since the hour when I took the seat of kingship in this hall, not a day has passed, but I have thanked the gods for the sea you cast, with judgment and open hand into a mind, then heedless and barren enough, and still I find that out of your words has grown whatever I know. Of justice or policy, now again you show your mastery of time and circumstance, consummate more than human, not by chance you stand tonight between a king and his child. The hour is blessed by gods, and they have piled omen on omen to mark it. A few short years, and the boys will need a tutor, one who hears voices of gods and ancestors, whose speech is weighted with their tongues. Return then, Master, teach. The great, as the lesser, finish the task begun. As you once taught the Father, teach the Son. In the silence, Asita drew breath to reply, and on that breath was born to his mind's eye a surprising image, light as a bubble in air. It floated distinct to consciousness and paused there, incongruous, recognized, terrible. He turned to the child, and vision dissolved in a torrent of light as the tears spilled, uncontrolled down his cheeks. And what do you see? Cried the king. Will the prince die? Is there some hideous thing that crushes his future? Asita thrust aside, and the proffered staff, and blankly stared. He cried, I weep for myself. The sage who has mastered breath now chokes on his sobs. The seer has seen his own death. No oil, alchemy, mantra will sustain the lamp at its last flare that drops again. To grease soot, darkness, the shadows close apace. Out of the coming light, I turn my face. Not I am the teacher, O king, but he who will reach the world's one path and sing its steps into speech. When I am gone, hurled far into the bowl, where lives are mixed, doomed to repeat the whole, perhaps of what I have lived before I stand, again where I may touch with human hand, the hand of one who opens that locked door, thinking myself rich, I have been poor. Fool in all but delusions, wiser I know, that I know nothing, I honor him, and I go. Seizing the staff, he strode down the long hall, and the crowd parted before him, silent his footfall echoed among the roof beams as he stepped out. Alone the garden, his body was wrapped about in a blaze of gentle fire, and over the hills, igniting the air, the sun's first light that spills. Like gold from the crucible, flooded the orchards, the plain, the glinting housetops, and Asita paused, his pain. Dissolved in mystery joy, does it matter, he thought, that the gift is not mine? Let it at least be brought to one who can use it. Descending as the town woke, he asked for the house of his sister's son, and spoke, briefly, carefully to him, then turned away to reach the city walls while still the day kept the last spacious coldness of the dawn, those gates patterned with ivory and horn, open to let him pass, and we lose sight of his frayed outline, shrinking as the light grows keener, trudging maybe against the slopes of cold Himalaya, tracing the twisted ropes of mountain streams up to the snow-lined breath, drawn harder, fainter, as life poured down towards death. Insistently now, to sit at last perhaps, near some sky-dazzled summit, where the caps and cornices of snow-glazed mountains shone, cloud-bannered, diamond-edged, and the mind set on. Endless, unstained awareness, fading at last, like a white bird lost on a white sky past, out of life into life, a Sita friend, brother and semblance from the eon's end. These words distantly greet you, who must wait in some high realm the expiry of your fate, caught in a happiness that takes too long. May some bright echo reach you from this song. Both speak of wonders that we never saw, you early and I late. Such is time's law. Our human brevity wounds like a knife. Shall we meet a Sita in some other life? Close. So who are inclined can bow, and that'll be the formal evening, and people can go and take rest or continue practice.